and catch up with and get our daily dose of Kevin from Florida. Good morning, sir. What can I do for you this morning?
Well, Curt, we were talking about Roseanne yesterday, when Robin in the chat room says that Roseanne reminded her of her mother, and I think Shonda even said the same thing, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I withdrew from culture, because it influences people's behavior in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, but the challenge is that the world around you is being influenced, and you still have to live in it,
Yeah, and I can't wait to check out in a lot of respects.
Well, it hasn't stopped you from being a good man.
You see where I live, you know what I mean, Curt?
Yeah.
It's in the sticks. But.
Yep. No, I get it. And there's a lot of people doing it that way. Listen, if I had my druthers and my kids were all graduated, I'd be out in the middle of nowhere too. Close enough to go into town, but far enough away that I didn't have to worry about people knocking on my door.
I almost want to get on my horse and go to Metairie, man. I can make it there. And Curt, I got to say, I had that idea about Breitbart town halls a while ago.
Yep.
And see, because I was worried, absolutely worried. America's going back to work, and people like you and I are out there making a living again, and some of them don't have the time or the energy to take care of things, and we got to ensure that they vote and ensure that they're all lined up, Curt.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. The big thing is this midterm stuff. I really believe we're being led down another fake news path. I think you're seeing his approval rating go up on a daily basis, but the media keeps telling us that it's getting worse and the Democrats are going to overtake us at the midterms. I don't think so. Here's my fear.
And Curt, it's the same thing with the hogs wash and everything like that. I mean, they put those people up there, and then they have another crew that gets dissed all the time so that they can show the kids that they're the ones that are actually powerful, which is a false narrative. Well, the kids are watching this on the news. They don't know nothing.
My biggest problem right now, Kev, is I really believe that there is no boundary for the left when it comes to the midterms. I think that they will try and do things illegally to win elections.
I'm sure.
I mean, they have in the past, and we know they have in the past. But going forward, I worry, because I think that the Trump getting into office has made them kind of just say, screw the rules. Whatever we have to do, it'll be worth it because we're doing it in the name of America.
Yeah. We got to get people like Mueller out of the way, and we got to start decapitating the snake in Washington, D.C., so that once we take the head, and I mean, like what we think is the head is actually runners for the elites anyway. And so so even if we go into Washington, D.C., and start taking these people out as far as legally, try to do it legally. Because if we don't, and they skew an election in 2018, there's obviously going to be a revolution.
Right. Well, let me ask you something. Speaking of that, we now know that in the year 2006 there were, I think, 17,000 1,700 sealed indictments nationally. Come to find out the other day that we're looking at 24,000 sealed indictments in the last 8 months. 24,000.
I don't think there's enough lawyers in the country to handle it.
Well, what we're finding out is that many people are being caught up in this sex slave, human trafficking, child pornography kind of a thing, and it is absolutely not making the news. Not, and I'm wondering why.
It won't, and it won't, and because the people that are involved in it are at the top levels. You remember when we first came back from down there in Everglades City, and you went off into Lakeland, and I didn't have my phone charged. And so I figured that you just kept on going up the road, and I just came past you because I had to nap about 90 miles off of our stop, and you went on. And so I got home, and we spoke on the phone, And I told you, I said, we're going to have to fight this evil. This evil is so pervasive. They have the goods on a lot of people. When you were talking with LJ about control file and stuff like this, they know the deepest, darkest secrets of everybody, and the media's got it. And see, the Clintons, they started out with Craig Livingston and 900 and some FBI files on Republican operatives. And then, McDermott out there, and I think it was Washington, come up with Newt Gingrich's phone conversation, and they quick ran cover and said, well, two people in Florida were riding down the road, and they put crystals in a ham radio set or something, and they got Newt's phone. No, that all came from the NSA.
Right.
And so they spun this web over us, and they have all the deep, dark secrets. I mean, if you sent a dirty picture to your wife, on your phone, the NSA has that.
Yeah. Facebook apparently too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it's. I got to tell you, it's the Jeffrey Epstein stuff was. I was like, that was one of those ones where I just went, come on, guys, and then to find out that it's true. That
it's absolutely true.
I mean,
Kurt.
this is and the levels and the heights with which this goes is more than a little disturbing to me. When you look at the connection with Epstein and the Clintons, and Epstein and a lot of powerful people, and then you hear Richard Branson. His name has been kicked around now, and thinking about the fact that that's the first place Obama stopped after leaving the White House was to vacation.
Yeah, I mean, the British royal family all tied up with it. I mean, so I mean, the circles that these people run in just lend themselves to this. They're just a little coven.
Well, you know what? It feels like, and you and I have talked about this in the past. It feels very much like. This can't keep going. It's spinning out of control, and it just can't stay this way. And that and it also makes me believe that every generation since Jesus walked the earth has thought that they were in the end times. And I mean, my God, if you read Revelations, it reads like today's newspaper.
Exactly.
You saw. The connection. I mean, what was the connection between Abedin? Anthony Weiner's laptop apparently had enormous amounts of this data and information.
Yeah, Kurt. I mentioned the other day that the Clintons let the Wiccans into the, become chaplains in the military and everything, and they have Wiccan symbols in our national cemeteries. Well, they have email. With Cheryl Mills, who's very tied up with an organization called Black Ivy in sub-Saharan Africa, so she's trafficking too. But anyway, she actually mentions that she's going out and sacrifice a chicken to Moloch and get the rabbit's foot out. We went from allowing Wiccans into our military as chaplains, and these people are talking about Moloch. And Moloch was absolutely sacrificed. It was, Nimrod, was a hunter of men, and that's what he did. It's just sacrifice all day long. That is the moon god of Canaan, and so that is the beginning of Islam. And Moloch is probably the first word that was used to describe the devil.
Right. Well, I don't know. I wonder when when or if this will ever break the surface from a news perspective, because we're talking about children, we're talking about pedophilia and child human trafficking in a way that it can't be a one-off. There has to be many people of significance involved to keep it under wraps the way it's been kept. And it's been kept under wraps because I think very much like the global warming and all the other crap, which is the second you start talking about it, people have made it so you're crazy and your opinion doesn't matter. And I appreciate the call, Kevin. Always a pleasure, buddy. But 24,552 sealed indictments. And on just to put that in perspective, from 2006, the year there was, I think, 1,700 sealed indictments. And why don't we know this? Well, why isn't this out in the middle of the news, front and center? Because we're watching, and it's happening. By the way, we're watching on a daily basis people get arrested for affiliations with sex trafficking, with human trafficking, and all this other stuff. But we're not reading about it. We're not seeing it. We're not hearing about it. And, I would argue that this might be one of the biggest global scams and scandals ever gone in existence, and it's being treated as National Enquirer, which, by the way, is far more reliable than the New York Times. But I don't know. I also think, and somebody mentioned it on live stream, I don't think we're ready or mentally equipped to know the depths and levels of how bad this really is. But since I met Kevin, who's a caller and a friend, he has been talking about this for years. Everything that's ever come out since then has done nothing but influence and validate those claims. I haven't seen anything that makes it a joke and turns it back. And you saw this whole Pizzagate thing, which people thought, hey, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. This is, conspiracy theory at its best. Everything that's come out since then has validated or backed up some of those claims. And I'm waiting for somebody somewhere to make me see how foolish this is, because that's not happening. And if this is to be believed, it's far bigger than I think anyone ever thought. But it also would lead me to buy into it, just because of how much government involvement is there, and how corrupt our government has been. We're learning the FBI and the CIA, and how at the top highest levels, they've been against you and I. They've been working openly and actively against us, and they've gotten away with it. I don't know how that's happened. So we're going to talk sports here after the break. Breitbart's Dylan Gwynn, who is the man who runs Breitbart Sports, will join us in just a minute.